Why don't you tell me who you are and tell me what you do?
Sure. Mark J. Lindquist is my name. I grew up in Ortonville, Minnesota, came from Seoul, South Korea. I can see where I came from on your map over there. And so, I guess the story of my life is I was adopted from an orphanage in Seoul, South Korea at 8 months old. I was given the chance to live an unbelievable life in Western Minnesota, raised by the Lindquist family out there after having been adopted at 8 months old. You know, Served the country in the United States Air Force, served the country in AmeriCorps, and now as you see these world events happening, I just can't help but feel like I have something to give at a critical time in the world's history like this.
But you already had something that was significant, that would be a job of service that you were aiming towards, which was to be a member of Congress.
Yeah.
But you were willing to give up that run to go to another country and fight.
Well, I was thinking about it on the plane ride over here to Anchorage. The whole Congress thing, the desire to serve, which really sparked when I enlisted, at age 26, 15 years ago. The idea to serve at that level and rise as a leader, in the discussion of the direction of America. So it's been a dream for a long time. But I was thinking about it like this. It's like, if you were to weigh the scales of what's important, is a single congressional race in the United States of America more consequential than the potential for World War III? I don't think so. And so I'm just simply trying to respond to the thing that is most urgent, I think. It was the call of service that led me to AmeriCorps, that led me to the Air Force, that led me to want to serve in a role such as leadership in Congress or service in public service in any realm, which then led me to respond to this, because none of us expected that we'd be on the brink of World War III. And so I'm just trying to be of greatest service where I'm needed.
Mark, you're a guy you mentioned who was born in Seoul, South Korea, and you were adopted and brought to Minnesota, literally a world away in every way we can explain.
Yeah.
You served the United States, not your native home country, in the United States Air Force.
Yeah.
And now you will cross borders again to serve another country from which you are not from. Why?
As I look at my life and how blessed I've been to enjoy the fruits of freedom. I mean, think about it. I started out life in an orphanage in Seoul, South Korea, which means I was part of the 15% of the orphans that got chosen for adoption from those orphanages in the early 1980s. For the other 85%, they didn't get a call. So I got adopted. Then I got to come to America. How lucky is that? And then I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner. I've enjoyed virtually every blessing of freedom one could enjoy. I had an Air Force buddy of mine say very eloquently to me the other day, he understands why people are answering this call to service to serve in another country's military, because us veterans around the world, we've already answered that call. We already answered the call and committed to potentially die for somebody that we don't know. He said, and it really made sense to me, it doesn't matter if that person is in Arkansas or Ukraine. If it's the cause of freedom, then that's a call that we're interested in. And so it makes sense to me that you would see 20,000, 25,000 veterans then stepping forward around the world to answer this call for a foreign legion, which hasn't been formed for 80 years. It's so significant for me and my military buddies as we assess this situation and say, wait a second, this hasn't happened in our lifetimes. There has not been a call for a foreign legion since the international brigades of the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, and then go back to the French Foreign Legion 100 years before that. That's the first time in this century. So of course veterans are responding, because this is what we were built for. Situations like these.
The non-service member, the non-veteran, can't quite get their head around that. You'd be willing to, Mark, you could die in Ukraine.
Yes, and I think if you were to walk around basic training in any American military base, or any training base, and ask a service member if they've thought about that in their head, of course they have. I hope they have, especially pre-deployment. I think the 2 million active in reserves and the 18 million vets, we've all come to peace with that reality that you just shared. You could die over there. And we've all had buddies that did. But there are a few members of society, 1% at any given time, who feel that that's their call. When you're in a room full of people and the question is, who's got to go? We raise our hand. And so to us, it's something we've already dealt with. It's something we're already okay with. We already understand as a military member. I was an enlisted troop. We already understand that when we enlist and raise our right hand and swear an oath to the Constitution, that some jerk over in Washington could send us to a place that's crazy and sucks. And yet we go. We know that's what we're signing up for. This time, I don't have to take orders from the Pentagon. This is a volunteer foreign legion where if you feel called to go, you can use the freedom that's available to you as an American citizen and buy a plane ticket to Warsaw and walk to the border. You can use your freedom to do that. So there's veterans that are.
What is it though? What is it that's calling you? Is it the images of the people? Is it democracy? Yeah. What is it? Who's pulling on you, Mark?
I think we all look at the videos that are coming out of that country, and we all are asking ourselves, what can I do to help? Most of my friends feel helpless, right? I've asked myself that same question. What could I do to help? And then I asked myself another question. What's the most I could do to help the Ukrainians if I feel called to do this because of the videos that I see and the tragedies that are unfolding? Well, the most I can do, Jenna, is go, right? And if you know your history, and I think you'll appreciate this, think of Marquis de Lafayette, right? He was from one of the most famous families and well-known families in France. And he came over and pledged allegiance to our flag and fought for us for 4 years. That was a Frenchman. I mean, France has been existing for 1,500 some years. They were more advanced warfighters than us in 1776. So it's kind of like we're the Frenchmen now. It's kind of like the roles are reversed. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. Like I'm was a member of the most professional fighting force on planet Earth, the most professional military there ever was. And so I could go over, and if you're going to equip a civilian with an AK-47 in Ukraine, well, certainly a member of the world's most professional military could help, maybe in a role such as Lafayette did. Now, then if you know your history further, certainly I'm not going over to be a hero or try to get it in the history books, but you have to know your history. Marquis de Lafayette commanded troops at Yorktown, very consequential in our history. So a foreigner was leading militia members and Virginia regulars in our Revolutionary War. So if you have a sense of history, this is what veterans were called for. Moments like this, that's what we're answering. It does not necessarily matter to me or a lot of us veterans. I guess I'm kind of thinking through this for the first time, like the country that's involved. It's the idea that freedom is being challenged, just like it was in 1776, and just like it is in the Ukraine in 2022. So I guess we're answering the call of freedom, in defense of freedom. That's what we say in our Air Force Creed. I'm an American airman. I'm a warrior. I've answered my nation's call. I'm guardian of freedom and justice, our nation's sword and shield, its sentry and avenger. I defend my country with my life. That's the oath we take. And that oath doesn't have an end date. Just because I got out of the active duty service doesn't mean that I'm any less military minded. That's with you forever.
One other thing that strikes me about your story, Mark, probably the most, since I have no military background, is that you were born in an orphanage, into an orphanage in South Korea. And without question, war will make children orphans in Ukraine. Without question. Are you there at all for them?
Oh, God. I guess that's probably a more succinct answer to your question, like what's calling you. I saw a video of a businessman in Warsaw who was buying armored cars on his own volition and driving across the border and rescuing people. And then saw videos of the orphanages in Eastern Ukraine, and think about how many new orphans there are in the last month. What if I could possibly deliver some of these orphans back across the border and give another child on planet Earth the same blessing that I was given, which is a chance at a life filled with freedom? I've got body armor, I've got a ballistic helmet, I've got military training, and there are teams of people that are going into Ukraine and extracting some of these orphans. That's what I'm going to do if I can. I don't know why I got so lucky in life, but maybe it's for a moment such as this. At least that's what I'll think when I'm over there, just to drive myself to get the job done, right? I mean, how full circle can you come? I certainly am in the United States of America as a ripple effect of the Korean War, because Korea couldn't take care of their babies, you know? And so they were sending some of them internationally. And now I feel like there's a kid out there that in 40 years will be me. He or she can't walk to the border. I got to carry him. So there is, of course, I don't know how I'm going to be able to help till I get there. You never know how you can help till you get there. But if I have my way and I can assemble the resources and the squad to do it, that's one of the things I want to do. I just feel like it's that would be like an important mission to me. It's my life story.